Dnešní host je Ntando Manyosha, řečený Biza. Je to jihoafrický trenér, který už 2 roky trénuje v Čechách a je to také můj velký kamarád. Welcome in my new episode of Hard on the Pitch.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Na zdraví.
Na zdraví. We are here because of you, because of your career. Where are you from? And when you start in your rugby journey?
I'm originally from South Africa. Originally in a region called the Eastern Cape, or the Eastern region. South Africa is divided into 9 regions, and I was born in what they call the Eastern Cape, the Eastern region, in a very small town. Town that's not really known for rugby. It's known more for football, called Umtata. Yeah.
Umtata?
Yeah.
There's also, I think, some famous guys is born also Umtata, no?
Just outside, very close to Umtata, the great late Nelson Mandela was born in the region. His house is actually from my house, about 15 to 20 minutes drive. So yeah.
That's cool.
Great man,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, where do you start to play rugby? Or because you start, you are first generation or?
Second generation.
Second generation.
Yeah, second generation. My father played and coached in the same town in Umtata, and back in that time, that region, the Eastern Cape region, was 2 different countries. It was not South Africa. It was, they called it Transkei and Ciskei, which was independent. It was an independent state, so it was a country. So he played in Transkei for what would have been the country then. So internationally. Yeah. And so I start from a young age, but initially I was not really so committed to rugby because I played other sports. I played football, believe it or not, a little bit.
Now I know you are a big fan of football.
Of football. I played football, which was at the start was my biggest passion. Maybe bigger than rugby initially, and I played cricket also. But of course, in the blood was the game of rugby, so I played that as well. As the years went by, my passion for the game, when I started to understand it properly, my passion and my love for the game, obviously passed on by my father, started to grow and started to take over in my sporting world. Yeah.
So, how good was your father? I know you told your father play very good rugby. No. If
I mean, it's late now, but whenever you had the conversations with him about rugby, you know, the older generation always speak like they were the best players in the world. But judging by the respect of his friends, he was quite a decent player. He played originally as a loose forward. So 6, 7, 8, could play 4, 5, and then eventually, when he got a bit older, he moved to the front row, as always in the amateur days.
Not me.
Yeah,
I look like the four, like
prop 10.
Yeah, but it's a couple of mistakes of my diet and.
I think we are all making these mistakes. I think these days. Yeah.
No, so So you play for club, school, university?
Yeah.
Or how it was?
The process in South Africa is always you would play at school, or if your school does not play the game of rugby, you would play for. If you are lucky enough, you'd be part of what they call the development programs. Lucky enough, my small school did play, and then eventually I had the opportunity to move from the Eastern Cape to Durban, where I think I started to really believe that I could play this game professionally. I could make a living out of it, because you when you started to compare yourself with other players that were in the developments, in the junior levels that you were playing against, you thought you were not maybe as good as them, but the gap was not so big. You could close the gap with some hard work here. So originally at the school level, and then at the junior provincial school level, and then at the junior provincial level, and club, of course. In South Africa, you play for the club, and then from the club, that's where you get selected to play provincial amateur initially, and then as you progress, if you are a quality player, then you would be offered an opportunity to be a pro.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than our country because the people like to play a whole year for the club, sometimes for the national team. But in South Africa, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's like clubs, province, and the national team.
Yeah. Even the provinces, there's two structures. So if it's a big province, an example with the Sharks, they have what we call an amateur hand and a pro hand. So you go club belongs under the amateur hand, and then you go club, provincial amateur hand, and then professional provincial. But the province is normally priority. Everyone wants to be a professional at the end, and then after the province, the professional hand would be the international hand.
So I visit the Sharks, I visit the stadium, I visit the facilities. So this was really great experience for me, and look this environment. So, but you play there, you train there. How was your feeling?
Yeah, probably the best time of my life. I think my best years. Just when you're young, you always think that some way it's going to be better, but now when you look back, you think the age of 18 to 22 was probably the best time of my life. The Sharks program is an amazing program. I was lucky enough to play in their junior teams, in some of the amateur teams, and some of their what they would classify as B teams. It's a world class program. It's the way it's structured. It produced so many great players. So it's a place that I hold dear to my heart. I was just maybe not good enough to make it all the way to the Sharks main team, but it shaped me as a rugby man, I think, those years. Yeah.
Okay, the highest level what do you play in South Africa?
The Currie Cup.
Currie Cup.
Yeah, the Currie Cup. Yeah. I played for Border Bulldogs. Eventually, I as I've already mentioned, I moved when I finished. I got over 21 because normally at that time we had the junior professional teams were under 21s and under 19s, and when you're over 21, you either at that time are going to make it in that province, which is the Sharks, or you're not going to make it. And then if you're not going to make it because of the other quality of players they have, you then have to look at other opportunities. And luckily for me, my original province, Border Bulldogs came looking for me, and I moved back and played for them for a few years in the Currie Cup, which also was quite an enjoyable experience. Yeah.
And your coaching career start after when you play for the Borders, or after you moved to Europe?
Yes, yeah. Yes. After my coaching career started originally in the Sharks, because there was a program that they run, which is a development program, which is targeted at the more what you would classify as areas that don't play rugby, original don't play rugby. So it would be what we call the townships in South Africa. So my coaching started then. I'm just trying to think of the years now. It could have been around 2003, 2004. I was still a young guy, but I was going to the schools and just coaching young kids. And with the encouragement of my father, because I think my father saw that maybe rugby player-wise, I was maybe never going to reach the levels that maybe I thought I could, because of limitation of ability, because South Africa has got a lot of talented rugby players, and yeah. So I moved to East London, back to East London, and just continued coaching at the schools, and then I never looked back, And I think when I was in Border, that's when I started to realize that I could really push on as a coach, because my love for coaching youngsters, was evident then, yeah.
So, and who take you to Europe for coaching?
Yeah,
but maybe you a little bit play also in Europe, in Scotland.
Yeah. In north of England, yeah.
Oh, north of England.
North of England, yeah. Yeah, I tried to play, but I was after I left the Border Bulldogs, I moved back to KwaZulu-Natal, Durban again, back to the Sharks, and just continued coaching and player coaching under one of my mentors, a guy by the name of Donald Ngwenya, who works at the Sharks. You've met Donald.
Yeah.
You've met him, you know him very well. He's been actually to Prague. He's been to Prague to coach in some rugby camps. And he was the guy that said, if I want to take it on, I must fully commit and look for other opportunities, maybe somewhere else. And my luck was a certain guy by the name of Richard Diaga. You know him quite well. At that time, I'd met him before when I was still a junior, and he was actually the first guy that gave me my junior rugby development contract at the Sharks, or KwaZulu-Natal as they call the amateur hand. He was the guy that manufactured an opportunity for me in England, in north of England, in a club that's quite close to my heart also, called Upper Eden. And I moved there and played there as a player coach. Yeah. At that time, I was probably more a coach than a player, because my rugby level as a player, I think, had already dropped. Yeah.
And after the north of England, you come back to South Africa, or because when I first met you was in one of the conference in Poland, when I was the technical director, and he was also technical director for Lithuania.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
You have a hair, I think. Yeah, had the hair before.
That's the stress of coaching. That's the stress of coaching. That's why I lost my hair, Yeah, no, I from after my stint in England, I moved a little bit back to South Africa, continued coaching, still in Durban, and then Richard again came in contact with another guy by the name of Linas Naujalis. I don't know if you've met him before. He's Lithuanian guy who was trying to change, looking for an outside coach to try and help their rugby in Lithuania. And Richard identified me as a guy that could do that job, and I moved to Lithuania. That's where we met in the conference. So I started there as a technical director / head coach of the men's national team. Yeah.
You have some good success against Czech national team, yeah?
Yeah, it's a little bit sore now, because we played them. I think it would have been because when I first arrived in Lithuania, they were playing in what is called conference now.
Yeah.
This is before the European divisions were combined, and that time there were like quite a lot more levels here to go past before you go to trophy or championship. And I think now it's called conference. they combined 2 levels. So I took in one conference and then to another conference, and then eventually to the trophy level. And at that time, the teams that were in trophy level, the competition was quite stiff. You know, it was Poland were in the same level, the Dutch were in the same level. You always had to just try and make sure that you win one game, and you had to target one team that you think you can beat, because you couldn't win every game. The gap between the conference level and the trophy level was just too big. So your plan was always see if you can get bonus points from other games, and then target one game and see. And the Czech game was, unfortunately, the game that when I was coaching, we sort of thought that we could probably, because we were playing at home as well. And at that time, when I did my research with the Czech national team, there was a lot of unhappiness with a lot of other issues, coach related. So we saw it as an opportunity that we could maybe cause an upset and try and stay at this level. And luckily that game, we managed to succeed. With some of, I think there's only a few guys that played in that game in this current crop of the youngsters. I think Aaron Froniak is one. Dan Hoshek is another. Karel Beronsky is not in the team anymore, but I think he was in that team. Just can't remember some other guys.
So after you just stepped down from the technical director and also the head coach of national team in Lithuania, and just coach the club, there was as always in every work, you know, there's always like change and evolution. I stepped down and started working for coaching a club, one of the smaller clubs in the country of Lithuania, which were playing in a lower division before, and with a lot of work and a few years of patience, we end up playing in what they call the top league, which is equivalent to Extraliga. Because now you coach in Czech Republic, one of the club. So if you look the Lithuanian clubs or players to compare with Czech players or Czech clubs, how you see the level?
I think the level is it would be similar. I think the levels would be similar. I think the big difference would be they do seem to produce a little bit of a better athlete, not necessarily a better rugby player, but there's a difference between a rugby player and an athlete. They seem to produce a little bit better athletes because their player base is probably smaller than our player base in Czech Republic, but they are still able to sort of compete in this trophy level, even that's smaller player base. Club-wise, I think that the Czech clubs are much more better run. I think better organized, more players, so a larger player base. They probably have maybe a larger coaching base than what we have. I'm talking about guys that can coach all the way up to men now. But the levels will be similar. You know, there's difference. The Czech guys do produce a better rugby player, I think, but the athlete in the rugby player is not the same as Lithuania tend to produce a better athlete. You know, but in terms of rugby playing, I'm not sure. You know, but yeah, I think the levels are quite similar. Yeah.
And now, well, I mentioned you are in Prague, you are in Czech Republic, you coach here. So how you feel? How long you are now?
As a head coach?
Yeah, you have
2 years
two
now.
Years, 2 years. 2 years in Prague, coach the Praga, and also to help the national teams to like the defense coach. So how you're feeling from 2 years in Czech Republic?
Yeah, no, it's good. I've enjoyed it. It has its challenges. You know, it was the same in Lithuania. The biggest challenges, if you compare to South Africa, there's always that professional carrot that you can dangle around over players, and that always helps to drive players to be be better, to be motivated. It's a bit of a challenge in our country because there is no pro level. So that's a challenge, and also the player base is not. It's growing. The junior levels are starting to produce some players, so it's growing. So the player level is still not. The player base is still not as big as coaches would like, but it is growing. In some other clubs it's different. I'm talking about my club now, but it's growing. It's growing fast. I am enjoying it. It's extremely challenging, as my lack of hair shows. But I think there's a big future of the game. There are some good things that are being done. There are some things that need to be changed or tweaked a bit or fixed a bit. But it's I think it's on the right path. It just needs work, patience, and detail. Yeah.
We have time also to look a little bit like internationality. South Africa is now, they dominate. You're happy? Like South African? You must be.
No, not really. I don't really like what they're doing. I'm kidding, man. No, it is nice to see. It is, just a few years back, who were the joke of international rugby. I remember for me, the two of the most painful games to lose was when we lost against the Italians. And before that, when we lost against Japan in the World Cup, those just as I said, just a few years ago, we were bottom of the food chain. When we were basically the laughing stock, not the laughing stock, but we were the joke of the international community, rugby community, because we had all the massive player base, but we just could never put it together to be able to perform at this high level. But these guys that have come in now. The great Rassie Erasmus, they've transformed us into world leaders in almost everything. It's nice to see. The nicest thing to see is not necessarily the game. The rugby is great and all that, but it's to see how far ahead in some things we are, compared to other countries. He used like plus 51 players this one season as an example. And I'm listening to some podcast. The guys are saying the team is aging, but they are not looking at how many players he's using to be able to manage the load and introduce younger guys. So I'm happy. They are doing well. They really they are setting the standards in terms of how to build a team, how to run a team, how to create a great culture in the team. Yeah. Is your
big rival is the All Blacks? Yeah.
Yeah.
But now is one of the great player or good player and good coach. Tony Brown is one of the coach is Rassie in the Springbok staff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's Rassie being ahead of the game. I think in 10 years ago you would never hear of South Africans hiring an All Black to come in and coach. It's like the enemy, you never open the door to the enemy, But it just shows how far ahead of the thinking the coaching staff or the people that run the game are. And you can see the difference. The Springboks have got multiple ways of playing now. It's no longer about just arm wrestling and kicking. And applying pressure. Now all of a sudden they've got an expensive game if they need to play expensively, with excitement, or an arm wrestle if they need to close a game. I think the perfect example is a game against England. That last 10 minutes they went away from the expensive game and just closed the game down with just the old school arm wrestle. So it is nice to see, and Tony Brown is doing amazing work, with the players, with changing the mindsets as well. Yeah.
If you're looking back to Czech national team, what they need to improve, or Czech rugby, globally, what they need to improve to come back to top, like continental Europe. What do you need to do?
I think the big elephant is always money. You know, it's someone somewhere has to come in, because all this stuff costs money. To be able to bring the best coaches or have the best facilities, you need money. You know, some sponsorship, whatever. You know, but from the government. I don't really understand how the system works in Czech rugby when it comes to that type of stuff. But the first part is money. You know. But of course, it's not a pro sport. You know, if it's difficult to get sponsors if you compare to other sports. But money is one. The second one is connection. You know, it's I think at the moment in the national setup there's good structures and junior structures, you know, good programs. But I still feel that maybe those programs could be a lot more connected. You know, under 14s, under 16s, to under 18s, to under 20s, to the warriors, to men. I think that's one part is connection. All basically singing from the same book, you know, applying the same methods, not necessarily the same methods, but with the same themes, you know, having the same goals. This is a Czech rugby player looks like this is what we want. So we want this type of player to be like this, type of player to be like this. So a prop should be able to do this, a hooker should be able to do this, a lock, a fly half. These are the skills. If you look at the French, for example, why do you think all their scrum halves are able to play 9 and 10? Have you ever noticed that? Every French scrum half can play 9 and 10. It's not by accident. There's a reason. There's an overhead structure that says we want a scrum half to be able to play like this and that. So we should have the same. I think Czech rugby should have the same connection, and then detail in the quality of coaching. You know, detail in the quality of coaching, and then the last part is you need a player that's willing to keep improving. You know, because in South Africa it's easy for a guy to keep improving because he will end up playing professionally, whereas in Czech Republic it's not the same. You know, to be able to. For a guy to be able to maintain a certain level of improving, of drive, of motivation, of love for the game, you know, it takes special kids to be able to do that until he's 29, 30, you know. So you need to find that type of player, you know. Which is the most difficult, I think. Yeah.
If you look at the coaching in Czech Republic, what they need to improve the coaches.
I think just detail. You know, I'm not a coaching guru. You know, a coaching master. I just think like detail. I think education is important for starters, and both. I'm talking about both theory and experiencing different cultures and different ways of coaching teams. Being open-minded is one, and then really understanding the game, and then detail in the information that you pass to kids, you know, not necessarily doing things for the sake of doing. You know, why is it being done? You know, what's the benefit of doing it? How is he going to apply? So I think detail, and as I said again, the main one is giving kids every skill in the book. You know, because every young kid that plays is walking around with a toolbox. So toolboxes. So if my toolbox is missing some tools, I cannot kick, I cannot throw, I can't be. So identifying what toolboxes, what tools each guy will need, you know, each young kid or each player will need, and coaching that to the best of their ability, with as much detail as possible. I think that's one. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we touch a lot of things in your career, your coaching career, your expertise from on the side of Springboks. I enjoy the interview with you, special with English. I hope Do everybody will understand
Hopefully,
me
hopefully.
and as well you?
I think they probably easier to understand you than me. I think it probably would be.
Yeah. So thank you for coming and share your rugby life with us. And I know we see each other tomorrow on the pitch, but with the other guys, I hope we see on another rugby event or maybe another interview after a few years.
Maybe in Czech,
Yeah, maybe in the
15
Czech.
years.
Yeah. I know some guy. He spent 9 years here and he cannot speak Czech. Everybody know who is this.
It's an incredibly difficult language to learn. Yeah. No, thank you for the invitation. Thank you. I enjoyed talking about the game as usual. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nezbývá už se jen rozloučit. Díky za sledování Srdcem na hřišti a uvidíme se u příštího pořadu.